to Cincinnati. Welcome to the jungle. Let's go. Stripes, 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 yeah. Stripes, 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 yeah. Stripes, 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 yeah. Orange in the day, black in the night. Stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast is awake, orange, black and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, who day we ignite and Cincinnati, we gon' rise and in the jungle we unite and dripping orange and black and white. Who day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Wake up the beast, every day is a feast. Time to bust it off the leash. In the jungle dripping heat, tigers strike the city streets. East side stand up, west side stand up. If you reppin' who day, time to put your hands up. Bengals stripes, we in it. New day, new age, yeah, we get it. Cincinnati jungle fitted. Who they in our house, we win it. Orange and black and white, we build it. Earn our stripes, you know we kill it. Bleed our colors, jungle dripping. Nasty, natty, yeah, we lit it. Lit the crowd, get the city loud. Yeah, we feasting now. Fit the pounds, make the city howl. Now we beastin' now. Thunder through the tunnel, from the sideline to the huddle. Stripes we tatted on the jungle when we flex that who they muscle on them. Stripes, Cincinnati, we gon' rise and in the jungle we unite and dripping orange and black and white. Who day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Stripes. Now who gotta move like it on? Stripes. Now who wanna move crossing on? Stripes. Now who wanna move on? If you got stripes and you let the city know you rock 'em, yeah we got 'em, yeah we fought 'em. Like that black and orange upon 'em, bingo ball 'em, never stop it till the beast and know 'em. Who they rockin' with the diamond stripes, flossing on the ring. Cincinnati, she's our queen, we gon' show the world who king. Orange in the day, black in the night. Stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast is awake, orange, black and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, who day we ignite and Cincinnati, we gon' rise and in the jungle we unite and dripping orange and black and white. Who day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Now who gotta move like it on? Now who wanna move crossing on? Now who wanna move on? Who day when we fight, live and die in these stripes.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, the Iceman, Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I'm bringing you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio, home of the AFC North champion Cincinnati Bengals. Now, do me a favor, if you found the show, hit that like and subscribe button, smash that thumbs up. I'm up to 1,524 subscribers. That is awesome. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Also, make sure you guys check out the podcast. Podcast is on BeanPod, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. So if you're in the YouTube chat crew exclusively, in there we're doing super chats. And if you would like to support what I'm doing or make sure your comment gets read, please give me a super chat. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, as always, I'm coming to you live from the Ice Cave, and the Ice Cave is brought to you by T Properties. T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. All right, guys, got a really good show for you today. Got Willie Lutz coming on later on, but I kind of want to get into this article that I wrote, and it's on the Ice Cave. I think I'm going to start a blog where I can actually put actual articles out and write stuff. I'm kind of liking doing it, and I don't think I suck at it. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, I wrote one today. And it's about the punter from San Diego State. Now, the thing is, people say that we don't need to draft a kicker. We have Drew Christensen, which we do. We could, I'm not saying he's a bad kid or anything, or a bad punter or anything. I'm just saying every time I've drafted or done a mock draft in the last couple weeks, Matt Ariza, excuse me, is there. Now I'll just read some of the stats here. I got to read off my phone because I cannot see the screen. I hope you guys can see it. But let's see here. Matt has punted 76 times for 3,944 yards, ranking first in FBS history. His punting average is 51.4 and has punted 60 yarders 18 times, 50 yarders 39 times. Ariza 76 punts, 36 of them have landed inside the 20-yard line. Ariza has punted for a 44.3 net punt average. I mean, that is unbelievable. If you guys have watched, like I put the video up there also on the Ice Cave and on different things that people have commented on. I put it on there of the video of the difference that this kid makes. And he tackles. And he tackles, which is ridiculous. If you watch the video, there's a couple times he's the first guy down there on the freaking first one down there to tackle somebody. So to me, right there, he's a football player. I mean, I wouldn't draft him because I don't really want a punter running down there and making tackles and big hits and all that stuff. But it's cool. And he could be a game changer. I'm not saying Drew Christensen can't be. I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. I'm just saying if the Bengals do what I want them to do, and that is fix the offensive line of free agency, like I've said over and over again, then you can draft the best players available. He's going to be one of the best players available if he's there and fit for 6th round. He just is. He's one of the best kickers ever, college kickers ever. Now, if it translates to the NFL, I have no idea. It's worth a shot. And hey, we got Drew Christensen, have a kicking competition. We got Kevin Huber. And I'm not saying we need to get rid of Kevin Huber. I love Kevin Huber. Just saying he's getting a little older. And, sometimes if you get a better guy, you got to get him. It's just the way it happens. Where's my glasses? They're over here, dude. But it doesn't help at all, Crown. And yes, I did enjoy the combine. The combine was an absolute blast. New to the show. Hey, Carrie, what's going on? Welcome to the show. I'm glad you're here. I hope you like it. We talk a lot of Bengals here. So anyway, that's an article I have out. Like I said, you guys go check it out on the Ice Cave, or should be the Ice Bar. It's a Facebook group, part of mine. So go check that out and give me some opinions. Tell me what you think. But like I said, Drew Christensen could be our future punter. Kevin Huber could be our future punter. Who knows? Now, we had some big news in the NFL today. As everybody knows, Russell Wilson got traded, as Dennis here has said, traded to the Denver Broncos. And now he has to face the Bengals. You're right, Dennis. We're going to kick his butt. We'll see what happens. I'm a little surprised, to be honest, because I really thought Russell was going to stay. It also came out that Aaron Rodgers is going to stay in Green Bay, which is not surprising. I thought he would. But it's also reported that he's going to sign a $200 million contract. He hasn't signed it. They're just reporting they've agreed to terms and all that stuff. I'm just saying $200 million. We got jackpot Joey Burrow coming up here pretty quick. It's going to be here before we know it. And that's why I say, like I said yesterday about the Jesse Bates contract and them tagging him, I think they're trying to wait and see what happens in free agency as far as how much money it takes them to sign offensive linemen and where the money can go and how much they have left over. Because, like I said, you got Joe Burrow, you got Jamar Chase, you got T. Higgins. I mean, it's in a couple of years, but you have to start planning for that to happen. So, great. You want to get – sorry, my comments are coming up slow. I don't know what's going on. Sorry about that, guys. But, yeah, you want to get the punter. Okay. Yeah, Matt Ariza. I keep saying Ariza. It's Matt Ariza. I don't think it's a bad idea. Like I said, I am not willing to trade up, reach for him. I mean, if he's in the earliest I'm willing to do it is in the 5th round, same as we got Evan McPherson, but also we got Evan McPherson because we had a couple extra picks. So you might want him more like the 6th round or something. But 5th round is the earliest that I would try to get him. Haas, what do you got here? You can mock draft that punter with the last pick every time. Not necessarily. I mean, maybe the ones you've done, I haven't been able to. I've tried. I have literally tried to see where I can get him at. and it's either 5 or 6. Usually by then he's gone. I mean, I had somebody tell me that, on Facebook or Twitter that, he'll probably be gone in the, 3rd or 4th round. That could happen. I really doubt somebody's going to go and take a punter that high, but this is an exceptional punter. So hey, if they can get him in the last round, that's fine. All I'm saying is if he's there, get him because I think he's worth it. We all know what a difference Evan McPherson made. And my son is like, you're talking about a punter. You want to get rid of Kevin Huber. I don't necessarily want to get rid of Kevin Huber. I like Kevin Huber. I do. He's a Bearcat. He's a Cincinnati guy. I like Kevin Huber. I just think that this kid he's a game changer. He can flip the field. I mean, he has kicked balls from the 5-yard line almost to the freaking end zone. I mean, I got the video up I put it out on Twitter and it's out on my Facebook page too. Go check it out. I mean, it's unbelievable. So yes, Crypt Keeper, I know. And like I said this in my article, Darren Simmons would be ecstatic to get him. You are correct. I know you love Darren Simmons. I'm still trying to get him on the show. We'll see. Let's see here. Greg, what do you got here? Raiders pick up Ray Guy, number 137 hang time, consistently over 50 years. I got to put my glasses on. Hang on a second here. My computer is not helping me out here right now. Let's see here. The Raiders picked Ray Guy, 3.7 hang time, consistently over 50 years. I'm in the Hall of Fame. That took guts to use your first pick to take a punter. It worked. Yeah. I mean, it did. I mean, hell, it took guts for the Bengals to take Evan McPherson where they took him at. So I'm not saying they're taking him at 31. Hell no. I want a quarterback or I want a defensive lineman or an edge guy at 31 if we can get it. That's what I want. Because like I said, I think the Bengals are going to fix it in free agency. That's what I think. And one thing I kind of want to talk about too, as far as that, I have another theory, I guess you should say. And we can talk about this more when Willie joins the show about the Bengals offensive line. Now, there are rumors that Ryan Jensen might be too expensive for the Bengals now, as much as the Bengals want to spend. At first, it was going to be $12 million a year. Now they're saying it might be 15 because the Squealers and the Ratbirds are getting involved. Okay, let's say that happens. So you have a choice. You still have Trey Hopkins, who, yes, I've talked a ton of times about moving to guard. I'm actually okay with him at center, to be honest. I don't think he's a terrible center. I think he's going to be better than he was this last year. And he's never had 2 really good guards behind him. And also, got to preface it, he's coming back from a knee injury last year. I mean, he'll be over it this year. He'll be a full year away from it. So my thought is, if they get 2 really good guards, which I have to bring up the PFF here. Give me 1 second here. I'll try to bring up these PFF rankings that I was using to kind of get with my my conversation here. Let's see here. Do that. And do that. And that. Okay. Now, let's see where it's at here. Bring that over. Okay. All right. Lake Tomlin. Here you go. They projected him 3 years, $9 million. And that's the one that the Bengals are talking about getting. I'm not saying they're going to get any of these guys. I'm just saying you can get him maybe about $9 million. Okay. If Ryan Jensen wants 15. All right, let's scroll on down here. Connor Williams, there's another one. Now, he's had a lot of penalties and stuff against him. Now, I think that can be fixed. Frank Pollock is really good, a really good offensive line coach, and the Bengals were the least penalized team in football. So, here's another one you could get. $6.67 million. This is just what PFF says. James Daniels. He's 5 years. I don't know if they go 5. I don't know if they go 5 years, but they're saying $10 million. That's a little high, I think, for what they want to spend. And then you got Austin Corbett, 4 years, 2.5 million. What I'm saying is there are other ways to go about doing this. And then my other article I wrote was Trenton Brown. Get him or Morgan Moses at right tackle. And all of those guys combined, I'm not going to say are going to equal to what Ryan Jensen is, but those are more along the lines, I think, of what the Bengals could be looking at if Ryan Jensen is outpriced. Now, we know Orlando Brown has been franchise tagged, so he can't get in. Trayvon Armstead will be awesome. I'd love to get him, but he's going to cost a lot of money. I don't know if the Bengals are willing to do that. Like I said, I'm just throwing stuff out there of different ideas of what they could do. All right, let's see here. Hunter, you want Mason Rudolph for tight end? I don't know. I kind of did last year. I'm not that big on him this year because he didn't really do that good. Greg, back to the punter conversation. You said, I love Huber, but he's getting older. Got to think of the future. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. I had somebody, like I said, come at me. I had two people come at me and say, Drew Christensen is the future punter. Look, if Drew Christensen was such a good punter, he would have been the Bengals punter last year. I'm just saying. If he was that good and like, oh my goodness, they're putting all their eggs in him and he's going to be our punter, he would have been a punter last year and not Kevin Huber. So I'm not completely sold that the Bengals are sold on him, to be honest. So that's where I look at the draft. I'm just going by the tools that I have in front of me. It's the draft, it's the mock draft, stuff like that, things they're talking about, and it could happen. It might not happen. I have no idea. But it worked for him last year. If he's there, I would not be surprised if they went and got him. Okay, let's roll back to the offensive line talk. So if Ryan Jensen is going to get like $15 million a year, and you can get some of these other guys between, at the most, I think it was between 6 and like 10 million. If you get an average between 6 and 10 million between hopefully two guards, we all hope they get, or to get a right tackle, Morgan Moses or Trent Brown, I think that's more along the lines of where the Bengals financially might be looking at this. And if they do that, they have two solid guards, a right tackle, Jonah Williams at left tackle, and Trey Hopkins at center, I'm okay with that. And it's not a bad thing to keep the two best guys, which was on our offensive line, in my opinion, was Trey Hopkins and Jonah Williams. Keep them in their spots. It's not a bad thing. You don't have to move them. All right, Charles. As much as I want Armstead, I'd rather have Tomlin and Jensen combo. Yeah. I don't know if put it this way. I like to have two guards. That would be nice. Two guards and a right tackle or left tackle. Probably going to get right tackle. But yes, and that's kind of where I'm at. When I first started free agency, I want to get Ryan Jensen. I want to get Armstead. Then you start looking at it and how much it's going to cost. And I know people always throw injuries out and everything. And it's football, man. People are going to get injured. You can base the contract on that of how he won't get as much money because he has been injured. But I don't know if I necessarily base that on if I want to get him or not. If that makes sense. Because I keep saying Jonah Williams never got injured at Alabama. He was injured for the first 2 years he got here. Trey Waynes played, 2 games for the Bengals? And they paid him a lot of money. So that's where I'm like, yes, they could be injured. Hell, the guy we could sign, who's never been injured could get injured. I don't know. So we'll see. Haas, what's up? Looks like Green Bay is going to have some cap casualties here soon after paying Rodgers all that money. Maybe some O-line. Maybe. That's a good point because, if the rumors are true and he's going to sign a $200 million contract, which he has tweeted out and said, I haven't signed anything yet, which Rodgers needs to stay off Twitter sometime and quit worrying about what everybody's saying and concentrate on himself, I think, like he's saying he's doing. There could be some guys out there. They're going to have to make some room. But that also does scare me for Joe Burrow. I'm hoping jackpot won't want $200 million, but who wouldn't if you could get it, So I don't know. We will see what happens. Greg, new center, new left tackle, and one right guard in free agency. So if you get a left tackle, are you okay with moving Jonah Williams? I'm assuming you want to move Jonah Williams to right tackle. which like I said, I'm okay with that. It just depends on the money, obviously. And really, it depends on the money. That's the biggest thing. It really depends on the money. Joel, what's up? We obviously need to be cost effective, but I'll take 15 million for Jensen. We are a Super Bowl window, so pay whatever it takes to fix the holes in the line. Okay, but do you really necessarily consider out of every position in the offense line? Do you really consider the center the biggest reason? Because 15 million will get you a left tackle, most likely, a pretty good left tackle. Are you willing to, pay that for Jensen and not for a tackle? I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I love the Ryan Jensen. I'm a big Ryan Jensen fan. I've kind of said that, but I would rather get more guys, and I'm not saying less athletic or not as good as Jensen. You don't need 5 All-Pros. If you can get really good guards and a really good right tackle, to me, that's a better fit than paying all the money for one guy and for a position that you don't necessarily have to fix. I mean, Trey Hopkins is okay at center. And again, he got injured and he's never played with 2 really good guards besides him. So that kind of goes with the thing I said before about moving Trey to guard. If you put him next to a really good center and a really good tackle, he might be okay at guard. If you put 2 really good guards and Trey at center, he might be really good. I don't know. So once you surround yourself with better talent, then you don't have to try to make up for the mistakes that the guys next to you are doing. And you can pretty much concentrate on your job and the scheme and how the offensive line is supposed to flow. So instead of getting one big guy, I would rather get 3 of them, not the highest paid guys, just the guys who, and I'm not trying to say cheap, just the guys that pay good money for them. They're good players, and it'll make a cohesive unit on that offensive line. Okay, let's see here. What we got here? Greg. Okay. You say, yeah, that's the right move. You mean to get the center? And then you say, what's more important? I don't know. What's more important? I'm not sure what your question is. And sometimes that's one thing. Sometimes we should be able to call in here. It'd be a lot easier to have a conversation. All right, Ken, I think Coach Pollock faced us a hint of what he wants, and that's a couple of alphas on the line. Yeah. Oh, he wants some glass eaters. He already said that. He wants some dudes. He wants some mean, nasty, and that's Ryan Jensen. I mean, to a T. If that's Ryan Jensen for $15 million, I don't know. Greg, signed 3 high-end free agent linemen. Bates with 3 years, $50 million? Dude, then that's like all of our freaking money. Then you want to spend all $50 million on 3 high free agents and Jesse Bates, then you're doing nothing for your D-line. And at $50 million, you won't have any money to sign your draft picks because that's what they have left is $50 million. You want to spend it on, if I'm reading that right, you want to spend it on 4 people. I hope you don't mean that. But maybe you can explain it a little bit. Greg, I've seen something when Burrow could have had a couple of his boys on the O-line from LSU coming out in the draft. Don't know if that's some BS or not. Probably. I have not. LSU offensive linemen really have not triggered in any of the draft range of anywhere where the Bengals would draft. I haven't seen an LSU lineman come up at all, to be honest. That I have all the draft, not dodging, the draft diving I've done. I haven't seen anything about LSU linemen. Joel, agree that we should be cost effective and not spend it all on free agent money on one guy or position. But Jensen would be a great QB and offensive line. Jensen would bring an edge. That's true. And I am not against getting Jensen. I'm just saying the rumors are he could get $15 million, and I think that's going to outprice the Bengals. Say no 3 years with only one guarantee for Jensen or Bates. You're talking about. All right, Natty, do you think the Bengals get Bates' extension done this season? I really do, and I think they have till July 15th to actually get it done. So we're not. This ain't over. And like I said in yesterday's show, I really think that they're trying to figure out how much money they're going to allocate for free agency, and not that they're putting Jesse Bates on the afterburner or back burner. I don't want to put that. I think they have an idea of how much they want to pay him, but they want to get this offensive line fixed. They want to sign Larry Ogunjobi and BJ Hill, hopefully both of them, at least one of them. And they have to plan for Jackpot Joey Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. Now, for me, I know everyone wants to hurry up, and we're in the Super Bowl window now and win. And I do too. Let me preface this. I want to win more than one. I think we have a chance to win multiple ones here. And that's where I'm like, the Bengals need to be really smart with their money because we got the big elephant in the room. Joe Burrow, his contract's coming. Aaron Rodgers most likely going to get $200 million. Burrow could get more than that. Now the salary cap's going to go up and everything. So these are things the Bengals have to consider. And also you got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins as well that you want to keep. So these are all things that they're juggling up in the air for, pay now, win now. But also we get all this other stuff. I don't want to pay for all this money and not have anything left for anybody, if that makes any sense at all. Anyway, he's got on a little early. I am happy to announce that. And, he looks like he's got a haircut. Holy crap. Man, looking good, Willie. Anyway, my man, Willie Lutz, who's done an awesome job for me today. He's been juggling around because I had a couple guys who wanted to go a different day, and then he was supposed to go another day, and then he came. Anyway, it's been a big mess. I appreciate Willie coming on. Here's Willie Lutz for the same old stripes.
Wow, that Twitter picture is very misleading. I just realized that right away.
Oh, yeah? You still got the long hair?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, holy crap, the way you cut it all off. Like, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot less of it now. I don't know what happened. I woke up one morning, it was just all gone. No. Chopped it all off. Same bad attitude, way less hair.
There you go. I like it. New look for Willie here. All right, Willie. So I don't know if you got on and heard anything I'll talk about, but I was talking about, and I sent you the link to an article that I wrote today about Matt Ariza, the punter for San Diego, and how possibly the Bengals could get him, could not get him. And then we started talking about the offensive line and the rumors about Ryan Jensen getting potentially $15 million and how that might outprice the Bengals. So I just gave you a whole bunch of stuff there. What's your thoughts on it?
So we'll loop back around to the punter thing. I need my time to collect myself on that one. I haven't come to a major conclusion, but I think I can within 10 to 15 minutes.
Gotcha.
But on the Ryan Jensen front, man, the $50 million price tag, if that's where it gets to, I mean, at what point are the Bengals just going to have to pull the trigger on one of these big name free agents? Because if they're not going to do the Jesse Bates extension because that's too rich for them, then, I mean, what are you saving your money for? And it would have to be a situation like, potentially blowing up the bank to go ahead and make that move on Ryan Jensen. Now, will they do it? I don't want to say yes. I don't want to say no. I kind of think they do end up doing it, but that's neither here nor there. Obviously, the cheaper option is Bradley Bozeman, who, as people on Twitter today were joking, has been connected to, I don't know, every team in the league in one way or another. But
right.
Ryan Jensen is just the way to do it, man. So does it price out the Bengals? Historically, it does, but if you're this generation of Bengals and you're this front office, I think you got to just kind of shrug your shoulders and realize the price tag's the price tag to get talent like that.
Well, my thought was on this. Now, like I said, if they get him, they get him. I don't know. And to me, Trey Hopkins, take it for what it is, he's not the worst center in the world. Now, Trey Hopkins has never played with two good guards on the side of him. And I've kind of said this before about if they sign Ryan Jensen, the possibility of moving Trey to guard. And I said, if you get a good center and a good right tackle, that might make him a better guard. Well, the same philosophy would go if you have Trey Hopkins at center and you have two really good guards and a really good right tackle. And yes, my dog is barking. And Jonah Williams at left tackle, and you have all 5 of them, and it costs you, it's not going to cost you as much as, it's going to still cost you more than Ryan Jensen, but if that's a cohesive unit moving forward, and they're glass eaters, which all those guys are pretty good, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm not saying go this way or go that way. I'm just giving different points of view how the Bengals could do it.
That's kind of the fun part of being a Bengals fan right now is, I mean, there's a limited number of ways they could do it in some ways. I mean, there's names that probably shouldn't bring in or names you wouldn't want to bring in, but you can sell yourself on a lot of different versions of this line and make yourself pretty happy. Now, what people won't be happy with is if your version of that line is going to be Jonah Williams, Quentin Spain, Trey Hopkins, Jackson Carman, and Isaiah Prince with Hakeem Adeniji as your 6th lineman. That's not going to fly with the fan base. A lot of other ways you could probably sell us on it.
Exactly. Now, I heard a lot of talk today here about, I'm going to mess with Tomlinson. I'm just going to go with that. Is it Lakin? I always mess with him.
Yeah.
Lakin. Okay. So, PFF's guy at 3 years, $9 million, 16.5 guaranteed. I don't know if the Bengals would, they don't pay that much money for guards, but if they're not going to pay $15 million for Jensen, like you said, they got to pay for somebody. So Tomlinson is the one that I've been hearing here lately. So let's say you put him at one side, and then the other guy is Austin Colbert. That's $9.2 million. They're both about $10 million a piece. That's $20 million for your guards. I mean, I don't know. I mean, would they do that instead of giving 15 for Jensen?
I think, by the way, if you scroll down another name there, that might be your right guard instead of Corbett with the Cincinnati area connection there for Andrew Norwell. Is he a St. X kid, I think, off the top of my head? I know he's a Cincinnati native.
There he is. Yeah, Norwell. There you go. Yeah, he's another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
7.25.
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So while I prefer Corbett, I would love if you give me tomorrow, if you say, Willie, here's what the Bengals are going to do in free agency. They're going to sign 2 players. They're going to sign Andrew Norwell, or not Andrew Norwell. They're going to sign Lakin Tomlinson, and they're going to sign Austin Corbett. And they're going to figure out right tackle later on in free agency. They're going to sign, Brian Balagi is the name I saw out there today, Brandon Shell, guys that are kind of that $4 million veteran, can start, but not your best lineman range. If you're telling me you're going to line it up with those 2 guards, Trey Hopkins, Jonah, and then a veteran replacement right tackle for Riley Reif, because I think Riley Reif I don't have any sourcing here. This is not breaking news on my end, but I think he's going to retire.
I'm with you. I think he's going to too. Just stuff.
But
I'm no sources, just stuff I hear and just I think he's going to. Go ahead.
Yeah, but if you give me those 2 guards and tell me we're kind of going to figure out the rest with what we draft, and then maybe I don't want to say a scrap heap free agent, but one of those veteran guys, I'm fired up, man. Those are 2 good guards, and I think the team's I think they could do so much more in the running game and make Joe Burrow's life easier in the passing game. There's so much more protection with those guys. The sacks wouldn't go away entirely because, and this will be fun for people that are thinking about football today, but Joe Burrow plays the game a little bit like Russell Wilson. He's going to get hit because he loves to hang in the pocket and try to make things happen, spin around. And, that's just the nature of the beast kind of with that quarterback style. But, hey, you give me those 2 guards, I'm in let's go mode.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, I would really – I'd like them to do Morgan Moses as, right tackle. That'd be fine. Or Trenton Brown. But yeah, if they get those 2 guards, and yes, I'm fired up. I'm good. Like I said, I'm still hoping they're not done. And the thing is, people are like, oh, we can get it in the draft. I don't think there's going to be an offensive lineman at 31. I don't even know if there's going to be a defensive lineman at 31 for the Bengals. I mean, I think a lot of them are going to go before the Bengals pick. We have a very good shot at probably getting a really good cornerback at 31. But that doesn't solve if we go with the route we just said with the 2 guards, that doesn't solve our right tackle problem. Now, would you be okay? Let's just say this. All right, how about this? I got one for you. We do this, bring a veteran right tackle, and you have Deontay Smith and him fight it out, and we both know there's a very good chance that Jackson Carman and Deontay Smith can both make big jumps from one season to the next. Case in point, Logan Wilson. I keep bringing him up. It could be the same thing. And Frank Pollock talked about how much he really liked Deontay Smith at the beginning of the year as a tackle. So that's an option too. That could fall. Would you be okay with that?
I actually kind of like it. And I also like this. I got this thing in my head where you got to bring in that veteran right tackle.
Right.
But I want to see Deontay Smith go out there and win that job because that would make me feel super fired up. I want to see that guy show off some of that potential that we saw or we heard about in training camp last year. I mean, you wouldn't probably watched on the bridge, knowing how
Yeah, I
you
was
were.
over the bridge a lot.
But it's one of those things, man. I just think, and Duke Tobin might have hinted at this a little bit during the combine. At some point, just look at the linebacker room. Those guys all developed after we all called for linebackers last year. Some of these linemen, at least one of them is going to develop into something. So
you would hope so.
yeah, I wouldn't mind if they bet one position. Hey, we're either going to have a pretty close competition here going into camp, or hey, we're going to have all these young guys that we've brought in fight it out, and there might be another rookie in that mix. And just to tack on what you said, there's like 2 guys that I'd be cool with starting that I think might be there at 31 in the draft on the line, and I don't think either of them are going to be there based on the way things are currently falling. And it's Kenyon Green from Texas A&M, who didn't test well, but I think the testing is very overrated.
Yeah,
and then
it's still
good. Zion. I always want to say Zion Williamson, but it's not Zion Williamson.
Now you messed me up now.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about.
Zion Johnson on the field way more than Zion Williamson's on the court right now. So Zion Johnson, I would sign up for that too. That's okay with me.
I'm good with both those, but again, I'm with you. I don't think they're gonna be there. I mean, hell, the kid I would love to get is he's the kid from he's in the MAC. They call it he looked like Mountain from Game of Thrones.
Bernard Raymond.
Yes. Oh my goodness, that dude's a beast. He blocked. I can't remember who it was. It was an Ohio State lineman blocked him into the freaking goalpost at the senior game or Senior Bowl. I mean, he ain't gonna be there either, but.
Unfortunately, I think it was Tyreek Smith from Ohio State, and I've got my Alma shirt on right now. But Tyreek Smith got absolutely smashed by Raymond, and he also got absolutely smashed by Trevor Penning, who, if I had any pick of any player in this draft who I can make a Bengal right now, it would be Trevor Penning. But he'll be on top 10 now because he's just been unbelievable in the pre-draft.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the guy, if this always preface this, if they fix it in the draft, fix the O-line in the free agency. I want Wyatt or Davis from Georgia. Did you see Davis? Did you see how fast that big man ran?
Yeah, that used to be unprecedented. I can't think of the guy. I think it's a guy who ended up going to the Cardinals, but a decade or so ago, it was breaking ground for a big guy to bust a sub 5 40-yard dash. And Jordan Davis is just out there putting up, he put up a 4.74 or something.
And they say he's just a run stopper. I'm like, as fast as he is, I think he's more than a run stopper. We'll see. I got a $4.99 super chat from Dustin Croft. Appreciate that. I do still think one of the O-line prospects will slip to 31. Teams will get desperate for QB skills, positions, and O-line always falls in the draft. He's got a point there, but I mean, you got to me, there's 3 quarterbacks in this draft that I think are really worth it. You got Pickett, you got Willis, and I'm biased. You got Desmond Ridder. I think those are the 3 that are worth it as far as if you're going to take a first-round pick. The rest of them, I don't know. So
can I ask you a Cincy sports question real fast?
Yeah, good.
So put yourself in the shoes you were in 2011.
Okay.
Isn't Desmond Ridder just more of the profile of the guy that you take in the early second, like a Derek Carr and Andy Dalton? Just a guy who doesn't have all those traits, but can win you football games. I feel like people are maybe too bullish on him in some cases and way too down on him in other circumstances. I think you got a lot of what you're going to get, and he throws just a really pretty spiral, which is something I love to see in prospect.
Yeah, I think my thing is I've seen him where games where he's extremely accurate, and I know that's the take on him that he's not, which he's not all the time. But neither was Jared Allen. So if he gets in the right position, right team where he can sit for a year and he can develop that part, I think he can exceed it. I don't know. I think there's potential to do that. I'll put it that way. Will he do it? I have no idea. Yeah, but I think there's more potential there than some people give him credit for.
Yep. He's one of those guys where put him in last year's quarterback class. He is the perfect second-round pick as a quarterback.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's in last year's. Yeah, he's second round. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But he's perfect. That's the thing. The only thing about Desmond Ridder that I'm man, this draft is just not the right one for him to be in terms of, it's great for him. He's going to make more money and go to a better team probably. But it's just a weird ranking for him. I don't know. This whole draft has got me all funky because the quarterbacks are just not great.
Well, this draft is cool. I think it's cool because I really have no idea which way the Bengals are going to go. And it's so cool to just sit there and talk about different things. I got a big, long paragraph here from Mike Overstreet. Just a question. Were you really happy about the offensive coordinator? I mean, yeah, we scored, but there were times throughout the whole season where players were questioning the questionable and cost us some games. So I also think, that kind of cost us Super Bowl. Middle of the third and middle of the fourth was horrible play calling. Just my opinion. What do you think?
I mean, Aaron Donald and Von Miller weren't giving the Bengals time to run good plays. They probably called some good plays. The
last play of the game, man, two guys wide open. We just couldn't get the ball. Sorry, guys.
But yeah, just to continue on that little rabbit hole, I don't think that it's an entirely unfounded point. I mean, there's been complaints about play calling. Even games the Bengals won, there were complaints about play calling. But that's the nature of the beast.
Right.
My opinion on it is, I know you guys don't love Brian Callahan, and you don't love Zach Taylor all the time, or you want Brian Callahan to take over play calling. Guys, Zach Taylor is at least a top 10, top 12 probably play caller in the league. This offense ranked top 10 in yards per play, which is an incredibly important stat. Joe Burrow had the most prolific, explosive passing game of all time, or explosive season of all time.
Right.
If you just look at all the numbers and look at the plays of plus 20 yards, the big time throw percentage, all those data points. So if you give them a little more offensive line to work with, I promise you the play calling bothers you a lot less, because good play calls are ruined by bad execution.
I couldn't have said it better. I mean, that's pretty much what I've said all the time on here. Everybody, and it drives me nuts when they want to go give it to Brian Callahan, who's never called plays before. I'm like, I'll take the guy who called plays and got us to the Super Bowl versus the guy who's never called them before. And I've said this over and over and over and over on here till I'm blue in the face. Until we get a consistent offensive line, we're not going to have a consistent offense. I mean, it goes hand in hand. You could, like I said, that last play, I don't give a crap what anybody says. It was the right call. Jamar Chase smoked him again. CJ Uzomah's wide freaking open. That's two guys. Aaron Donald was better than our offensive line. Aaron Donald was better than a lot of offensive lines. If we had a better one and we could have chipped him and stopped him and gave Joe Burrow, I don't know, a second and a half longer, CJ's open, Chase is open, completely different game. So it just drives up. People always blame it on this. I'm like, it's like when, the last couple of years, people are like, oh, we got to get before this year, when we got to get rid of Zach Taylor, right? I'm like, you can't make a judgment on it because at the time, the team sucks. They don't have enough talent to compete with these other teams. Oh, well, a good coach brings players up. I'm like, not all of them. Yeah, a couple of them he can make them better, but not every single one of them. If you have talent, it makes you a better coach, and it actually accents what you're good at. And when the Bengals offensive line played good, our offense was rocking. So I've gotten asked this a lot.
Yeah. I also love your point about the good coaches elevate lower talents, but you look at the players that the Bengals have let go from the 2019 and 20 seasons, and none of those guys are out there breaking world records. I mean,
right.
Zach Taylor got a lot out of some guys that aren't worth a damn anymore. So
exactly.
I mean, give the guy a break.
Yeah, I know. That's where I don't know. Like I said, I've gotten in arguments on my show with people about this. I'm like,
my guy won a game with Ryan Finley as his quarterback on Monday Night Football against the Steelers.
Thank you.
When they had no business being involved.
Right. Thank you. It was draw plays and he beat them. I mean, I don't know. I wish we have a really good head coach. I just want to let everybody know Zach Taylor is really freaking good. And when we fix this offensive line, this team is going to be freaking scary. I will tell you that right now. It is going to be absolutely scary to give Joe Burrow actual time to throw. I've said this a couple times. Just think if Joe Burrow consistently can at least get to his third read. His third. He's lucky he can get to his second one. If he can get to his third read consistently next year, get out of here. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, he'll throw it for a record-setting amount of passing yards and passing touchdowns and all that good stuff, and they're still going to have all the receivers, and by all accounts, they're probably going to have C.J. Uzomah back. So, and they're going to have Joe Mixon doing his thing. I don't know. You give him a little more time, man. You give him that,
Right.
an average offensive line, and this team
Yes.
is.
Well, that's kind of where I'll tell you this too. This is where I'm kind of with the whole Jesse Bates thing. I'll bring this up. This is kind of what I said yesterday. That yeah, I don't like it that they're tagging him, but it doesn't really kick in. They have till July 15th, and I think a lot of that has to do with I think they have a certain number in their mind, and trying to work out the details or whatever. But they're trying to get the offensive line, and they're trying to figure out where that's going to play out as far as their money goes. Along with they want to re-sign at least, hopefully both of them, but at least one on BJ or Larry Ogunjobi. So you got that too. And then the big elephant in the room behind them, you got jackpot Joey Burrow. In 2 years, he's going to make a lot of money. So is Jamar Chase. So is T. Higgins. You still got to allocate some money for that. Aaron Rodgers supposedly going to sign a $200 million freaking contract, okay? And the Bengals, I think, want to keep as much talent as they can here, which I agree with them. And people are like, just sell out. Let's go win one Super Bowl. Screw that. I want to win 3, 4. I want to win as many as we can because I think we have that talent here. So I'm okay with the way they're doing it, if that's what they're doing, trying to allocate and get everybody under the same contract and keep them here for as long as they can.
Yeah, and one of the things I saw chirping today, and I went back and forth with, I think he's a good guy. I think it's at JPB something. Great Twitter follow, very smart on the cap, but he kind of jokingly said after Mike Williams, the Chargers receiver, signed that 3 years, $60 million contract, say goodbye to T. Higgins in 2 years. But
right.
The way I'm seeing this Jesse Bates situation, I just don't see it that way. I think they're trying to keep this offensive core together, and that's what they're more focused on. If Jesse Bates was one of their marquee offensive players, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, I think they get a deal done. I mean, they got the Joe Mixon deal done. I think they're going to go ahead and whenever they can, probably next offseason, I think is when they're going to have to do it. But I have a hard time imagining Jonah Williams won't get a big contract.
Right.
Burrow's going to get paid. Jamar is going to get paid. T's going to get paid. I just think the way they view this core is Burrow and the wide receivers number one, and then everything else comes after. So just guys, when you're thinking about this, I'm not talking. I just said guys because I'm talking to everyone. So you got an audience going on, but you guys got to realize that the Bengals they're not a dumb front office. There's dumb front offices out there. They might be a little more penny pinching and a little closer to the vest than a lot of people, but they're not dumb. They make a lot of really good financial decisions. I mean, if you look at your entire, last 2 decades as a Bengals fan, the only contract that's really bitten them bad has been that that Trey Waynes contract, and they're going to get off of that this year. And if that's your worst contract, trust me. I mean, I think it was the Washington Redskins back in 2000, whatever, when they signed Albert Haynesworth.
Oh God,
that's an example of a terrible contract.
Yes,
that's a bad one. The Bengals have had none of that. So you count your wins and your losses, but you also got to consider the fact that this team is not out there to cripple themselves financially.
Yeah, and the thing is, and if you look at the last couple of years where they've actually dove into free agency, all these contracts are I'm not even saying team friendly. They're just good contracts for both parties. That's what's working out for them. And to your point, you said before about how you think they want to try to keep this offensive core together. I'm with you on that because they drafted all these guys in the offense. Defense, 90% of them, they signed. Well, I would say not a lot of the starters they signed in free agency. So that goes to where I think if they fix the offensive line, they got to go defensive heavy in this draft because they're not going to be able to pay all these guys, nor are they going to want to pay all these guys on defense. They want to pay the offensive guys. So they want to they want to get guys that they drafted to come in under rookie contracts and build a defense that way to replace the people that are leaving. Now, I'm not saying Jesse Bates is going to leave or anything. I think they're going to sign him. I think he's one that they want to keep because he's the right age and everything else. But Mike Hilton, he's on a second contract. When he's done, they might not pick him up. Bell, he's on his second contract. When he's done, they might, these guys are getting them on their second contract. They might not get a third contract or a second contract from the Bengals because they might have somebody drafted to pick them up or to fill their spot.
I mean, and that's the beauty of this league in some ways is, I mean, when it works the way it's supposed to and it's parity, you go up and down. But I mean, when you do it right and you hit over and over again, And no one's the Patriots, but you want to be like the Patriots, where they just had all those guys. Like, it didn't matter where they picked; they just refilled those rooms with more talent, so they didn't have to keep paying older guys that were expensive and had declining pay. They elevated young guys and said, "Hey, this is your job now. You're going to have to win it. You're going to have to be an expert at your position, and we're expecting you to play at an All-Pro level." And not everyone gets to an All-Pro level. Not everyone gets to a Pro Bowl level. Not everyone gets to second contract level, but you need to start building that depth. And that's why you're 100% right. This is the defense, or the draft to go defense. Defense.
Oh, sorry. Get me all fired up. But yeah, then this is, to me, honestly, this offseason is, I think, one of the most fun to discuss. I mean, yes, of course, because we went to the Super Bowl. Of course, it's more fun. But I'm just saying, as far as where the team is in general, because, I mean, the first 2 years ago, we knew it was going to be Joe Burrow. I mean, the Bengals act like it might not be. Everybody knew they were going to draft. Last year, I was 99% sure they were going to draft Jamar Chase. Whether you were Chase or Sewell, so, it's just debate about which one they want to draft. And I don't know about you, but I was sick and tired of talking about it. I wanted them to hurry up and draft them. Now, this year, like I said, with the way the Bengals are, it's so intriguing, especially with the free agent, because the first year they did free agents, I'm like, holy crap, they actually signed people. I'm like, all right. And last year, we're kind of like, okay, are they going to do it again? Yeah, they signed 5 of them. This year, we all expect them to do it. We're actually looking at free agents. Okay, I think they're going to get this guy. Nah, that guy's cost too much. What about this guy? Well, he's injured. I don't know. That's a conversation us Bengals fans can have that we couldn't have 2-3 years ago. And that's what's fun about this.
Yeah, and it's funny because I remember the first time the Bengals, 2020, I guess, that summer. Yeah, I guess it would have been or spring, this time 2 years ago, when they were first signing free agents. I was I was working covering the Pelicans for cash, which was an interesting job. But
the NBA Pelicans?
Yeah, the basketball ones.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was a whole thing. But obviously still a diehard Bengals fan, but
right.
I was way more focused on what was going on in the draft than I was about what was going on in free agency. All of a sudden, they start signing all these dudes for a ton of money whose names I'm like, I know Trey Waynes because Trey Waynes was involved in that crazy Saints-Vikings game that had all that crazy stuff happen. Whatever it is, the whatever miracle, all that stuff.
Yeah,
all of a sudden, they signed DJ Reader. I'm like, who is this guy that we just paid all this money? And everyone's like, he's sweet. And I was like, oh, we're signing people that matter.
Yeah.
And then we signed Von Bell, who I love.
Yep.
Signing guys that matter. Mm-hmm. We're at a time where we're signing guys that matter. And that's because, and you know what? We sit here and talk about offensive line, but you're right. The choose your own adventure aspect of the Bengals now is so fun. Like my co-host on Same Old Strips, or one of them, T.O., loves the idea of adding J.C. Jackson at corner and going a little bit more affordable in those offensive line positions. And that's the fun part.
Right.
Because this team can do some stuff like that and are willing to do some stuff like that. It's just cool. It's really fun for fans.
That's a great point, to be honest. I mean, that's something that they could do. They could spend more money on the cornerback and get the cheaper guards and more. I keep saying Morgan Moses, but he's 31 years old. He's going to be one of the cheaper right guards that's in free agency to get. That's worth getting. If you get those guys and you sign JC, which I would love to sign JC Jackson. So would Mike Hilton. He's been tweeting him out to get him. That would be great. Now I know a lot of people have talked about getting Laramie Tunsil. Now my thing is, why in the hell would the Texans want to trade him? Is it this just a Bengal rumor, or is it just something that Mike Hilton started? I think it was Mike Hilton because he tweeted him out. Is this actually something that is a possibility of getting him?
On the table. It's a real thing. So here's the deal with the Texans. If you want to look at dysfunction in this league, if you want to look at dysfunction in sports, there's 2 teams that I would consider the most dysfunctional by far. It's the Arizona Coyotes of the NHL, who are currently playing at Arizona State's hockey stadium.
Yeah.
Because they refuse to pay their vendors and pay their bills to stay at, the downtown stadium in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And it's the Houston Texans, who have basically, are building a losing culture. They also have the weirdest GM in the league, in Nick Caserio, who I was reading some stuff about him. He's just rude to people all the time. So that's just great.
And I think they hired another head coach that they're probably going to fire in a year, just like they did last year.
Oh, I don't know why they didn't just keep David Culley if they were going to hire,
right.
Fire.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Laramie Tunsil.
Yeah. I continue my rant. But Laramie Tunsil, I think Tunsil, it's Tunsil. I don't know why I'm pronouncing it like I'm some sort of crazy East Coaster or something. But Laramie Tunsil, I think that he's not, it's like kind of like Russell Wilson. He's not going to be public about, I want out, because that's just not who he is and not how he wants to go about his business. But he's due for a $22 million or $26 million cap hit if he stays in Houston. Now, Houston's got money to burn. They're not exactly lighting the world on fire. They're not going to go out and sign, J.C. Jackson, Allen Robinson in free agency. But Laremy Tunsil, if he gets traded, becomes an $18.1 million cap hit this year. I think he has 1 or 2 more years left on his deal after that. I mean, he's still young. He's got under team control. And, I mean, the only other connection is he played college ball with Mike Hilton. So that's the recruiting aspect. But I don't know if the Bengals are connected. But I know I've heard that Laremy Tunsil, I know he wants to be here I don't know if it's I want to play with Joe Burrow, all this stuff, but he wants to go play with a winning quarterback and be a part of a winning culture. I do know that. What I don't know is if he, is banging on the table for Cincinnati. I can't say that, but he's happy to get out of Houston.
Well, the thing is, I had somebody tweet me out, and if they would do this trade, I would do it in an absolute heartbeat. But I don't think and I know the Texans are a horribly run franchise, but he said Trey Hendrickson. All right, Trey. Yeah, wait. The cornerback that we not you're looking at. I said it wrong. Trey, the cornerback that we signed.
Oh, Trey Waynes.
Trey Waynes. I do that every freaking time. Man, Trey Waynes.
Trey
I know. I was like, I do. I tell my eyes I did it wrong. Trey Waynes and like a 5th or 6th round pick to the Texans for Laremy Tunsil. I said, dude, if they do that, I would run to the table. I do not think they would do that for any chance of anything. Oh, what's your thoughts?
Well, here's how I can sell you on it. If you're Houston, you look at that and say, the Bengals don't want to absorb that cap hit. We don't want to absorb Tunsil's cap hit. The 5th rounder, I don't think is realistic. I think you might have to throw in a 3rd. But if you're throwing in a 3rd in Waynes to help them in a cap situation, and you're getting a Pro Bowl to All-Pro caliber tackle out of it, I think you do it in a heartbeat. And it's no-brainer.
Yeah, for the Bengals, yes, I would do it. I don't think I don't know if the Texans would do it. Is what I'm saying. But if they want to get out of the salary cap hit, then they might. But I would think they would.
Yeah, that's where for the Bengals, you can sweeten it with that 3rd round pick, and all of a sudden, or maybe it's even a 2nd. Maybe you do that. Maybe you go a really good defensive player at 31, and you say, hey, we're going to package up Trey Waynes in this 2nd round pick, and Houston's just doing it to clear some salary cap. And I think they'd be willing to do something like that. Now, the Bengals being so late in the 2nd round makes it a little harder, but Houston does need to rebuild their young talent. They've got a lot of older guys that are just random veterans. They're like Rex Burkhead was their starting running back last year. That's not good enough.
No.
If you can get like Kenneth Walker in this draft class with that pick, I mean, that's just an upgrade that they have to do because they have to get younger. They're not in a position to, I think if I'm them, and I would love the Bengals to have done this when they were rebuilding prior to Burrow. You can go pick up some picks for these talents and just restock your room with lottery tickets at least.
Right.
And for them to have an opportunity to get a 2nd round pick, if I'm their fan base, I'm like, okay, let's do it. I don't care. Give me an upgrade, or don't give me an upgrade. Give me another lottery ticket so I can build my future and get this guy who's not going to be a part of our next playoff run off the roster and get some value out of him. So I think that's how you can sell that one.
Hey, if they do that, like I said, sign me up for it. I'll take it. Now let's put it this way: if they do that, I think they're only signing. They're not signing Jensen. They would be a guard then, I would think, and that's just 2 guys. Which still, I mean, and that would be moving Jonah Williams to right tackle, signing. Let's just say Likens. I said his name wrong again.
Close enough. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I'll give you the Cincinnati verb pronunciation there.
There you go. The guy from the 49ers. Yep. And they get him.
Yep.
Sign me up, Trey. And you have a competition between Jax Carman and Deontay Smith at the other guard. I'm good. That's you have a dominant left tackle. You have Jonah Williams at right tackle, Hopkins at center, Larkin, whatever the hell his name is, as the other guard, or Corbin. That's cool. I mean, to me, that's a good enough offensive line to move forward to give Jackpot Joey Burrow time to throw the ball, and I don't know, Mixon time to holes to run through. That'd be kind of cool too.
That's the most underrated component of it, by the way, is giving Joe Mixon more room to run because he's never had a good line.
Ever.
And he's so goddamn good. Excuse me, so daggone good.
Dadgummit.
But yeah, I just think if you give, first of all, the Joe Burrow more time, like that's just so obvious. Like I feel like on our podcast, we do a bad job. We don't talk enough about Joe Burrow, which I feel is a shortage of
I'm the opposite. I talk about all the time. I don't talk about Joe Mixon enough, I don't think.
Yeah, we love talking about running game for no reason because we're crazy people and we love talking no more about interior defensive linemen and coverage linebacker. That's like our favorite. That's our bread and butter right there in the Single Stripes podcast. We have so much fun doing it for no reason. Like Jermaine Pratt making big plays. That like we'll spend like 45 minutes talking about that and like 3 minutes talking about like a beautiful touchdown Burrow throw.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit. You just say you talk about Joe Mixon a lot, but let's just talk about Joe Mixon and him actually having a halfway decent offensive line. I don't know how. It's a crazy thought. What if he made his first cut beyond the offensive line? If there's a hole, he could run through it and then he cuts. That'd be crazy. That's barely ever happened.
Happened in Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's true. It happened there, but it hasn't happened in the pros.
No. And you know what? That's the fun part about visualizing a better offensive line is like, we know Joe Mixon can make an explosive run. We've seen him just cut back 5 yards beyond the line of scrimmage when the offensive line is already cratered around him and turn up field and score a 20-yard touchdown. I mean, the Tennessee run comes to mind on that one. The dude is, people greatly, greatly underrate Joe Mixon in this league. And not in this league. I think the league knows. The fans don't. And that's the interesting part for me is if he can explode and put up one of those, like, I think he could. I mean, he's not Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor is just like a little bit better, but he could put up that kind of season statistically. And he could probably have a better passing season or receiving season because of Burrow being his quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, too, is one thing that I think Mixon got to do a lot more this year was the passing aspect and how good his hands are and how how good he is after the catch and making guys miss and stuff. And so like I said, that fixes the offensive line. It's going to fix so much stuff. I can't, like I said, I keep saying I sound like a broken record, but that's what you have to do.
I'm so excited for the next time we talk because I'm not trying not to say like I'm not excited to be here today, but we're going to be talking about the Bengals offensive line.
Oh, dude, I can't wait. What irritates me? Well, I'm going to be on vacation next week, and that's right when free agency starts. So I told my wife, I said, I'm going to probably do an emergency podcast. Whenever they sign somebody, I might be going on my phone going, holy crap, they got whoever. At least I hope so anyway. And, well, yeah, we would definitely get on here and definitely talk about who they sign and what it means and all that stuff. And like I said, all of this, I think, leads to the rest of this free agency. This is the start of the Bengals offseason, of what they're going to do, leads to Jesse Bates, leads to BJ Hill, leads to Larry Ogunjobi, leads to whoever else, JC Jetson, whoever else they're going to sign and however they're going to draft. This is where it starts. This starts the whole thing. So that's where people can ask me, well, what are they going to do here? Well, I don't know. They got to do this first, and then you move on. That's why this next week is so important of what they're going to do. And the thing is, if they don't go after, let's just say this, if they don't get like a Ryan Jensen or they don't get a Armstead or somebody like that, there's tiers to free agency. If they're not getting one of those guys, then we're not going to hear anything until like the second day of free agency, kind of like we did last year. And everybody kind of freaked out because we didn't hear anything. But then we all calmed down after they signed Riley Reef. There's a chance that can happen again this year. Unless they do what your boy said and sign J.C. Jackson. I don't know.
Well, here's what – I don't want to be Adam Pac-Man Jones and be like a little birdie told me, but I just say I have a very strong feeling in my gut that one of or multiple of Bradley Bozeman, Laken Tomlinson, or Ryan Jensen will be Bengals.
Yeah.
And if I had to rank the order, I'd put the two centers. It's going to be one or the other, I think. And then Laken Tomlinson's kind of that, like, I'm not sure how that goes. I'm not sure who wants to give him the most money, but they're going to sign someone, man.
We got Joe Burrow.
Yeah, Joe Burrow will be there to sign the contract with him, by the way. He's going to be like, my knee has never felt better than just watching.
Exactly. I mean, dude, look, I'll put it to you this way. I know I've done this whole podcast about them not signing Jensen. I personally, I'm with you. I think there's been too much smoke. And look, I know people give Pac-Man crap about being Pac-Man and all this stuff, but if the man heard something, he wouldn't have just tweeted it out. At least I don't think so. I mean, he's trying to do his podcast, the Believe podcast with Simon Wilcox and all that. I don't think he's just going to say stuff just to say it. The man heard something, and he knows more people inside the NFL than you or I do. So I think there's When there's smoke, there's fire. There's a good chance that the Bengals can sign Ryan Jensen. There's a good chance they can sign Tomlin. Those two, I think, are ones they could possibly sign. And I might go streaking in Florida if they go sign those two. I'd be like, wow, this could be awesome. So I hope they do, but I don't know.
Wouldn't it be nice to have like a competent offensive? Like I love Quentin Spain, and I think Quentin. Maybe I'm being rude by saying competent, but wouldn't it be nice to have like a Pro Bowl level offensive guard for the first time since Zeitler?
Yeah,
like, God, I'm dying for it.
Yeah, and that's now that you brought Zeitler up, I got to bring it up. Is what if the Bengals had signed Zeitler last year? Because the one bad thing I don't even say bad, it just didn't work. It didn't work. It might work in the future, but Jax Carman, they needed him. The way they played is they needed him to be a plug and play right guard, and he wasn't. And that was a problem the entire season. It got magnified even more when Riley Reef got injured. So you had two guys on the same side right next to each other that were inexperienced. If they just spent the money and got Zeitler, which from everything James Rapine has told me, he wanted to come here, but the money was so much more in Baltimore. And I will never fault football players for trying to get as much money as they can. They can only, make the money when they can. They're not, especially offensive linemen, they don't have very long careers anyway. If they sign him, how much difference is their offensive line?
I mean, they probably win the Super Bowl. That's the hard
part. I'm with you.
I mean, just think about all those drives in the second half, and we can go back to like that other commenter who was like talking about the play calling in the third quarter in that range in particular, and really the beginning of the fourth, when the offense dried up and they really couldn't move the ball at all. I mean, it's because that 49ers, that Rams front was just destroying their will.
Right.
And then if you have Kevin Zeitler there, all of a sudden it makes everyone else's life that much easier because Hakeem Adeniji, revolving door next to Isaiah Prince, who's a young guy who has shown flashes, but I just don't think you're setting Isaiah Prince and Hakeem Adeniji up for success when you're putting them next to each other. And Zeitler, if you put him in there in that game, I don't want to promise you, but I'd feel very confident saying they would have won the Super Bowl just the way that game went.
If the offensive line could have held up and they could have done a little bit more, and just Zach Taylor said, okay, the interception in the second half, Jesse Bates got. You get a touchdown instead of 3 there. It's different. You win the game right there. That play alone. If you score a touchdown instead of kicking a field goal, you win the game. They couldn't do it because they didn't have time to throw the ball. They didn't have time to run the ball. Aaron Donald, Von Miller just destroyed them. And that's where it got to the second half where they decided that they were going to take over and there's nothing the Bengals could do about it. And there was nothing the Bengals could do about it.
It's one of those things where you get to a point where it kind of is what it is. And I hate a football game where it is what it is. And that was a game where you really didn't have control of much of the outcome because the Rams dominated that game on defense and really didn't give – I mean, that's the frustrating part for me is you watch that entire second half and you knew the Rams were going to break through at some point because they were just making enough of those first downs. Like they're just going to put a couple of those together and make something happen. And the penalties and yada, yada, yada. But they had more fluidity and ability to alter what the game was like than the Bengals did. And that's why the Bengals lost because they controlled less components of that game and the Rams just took it from them.
I mean, let's be honest, the first half, I think the Bengals pretty much, they controlled the first half, I think. If you go back and watch it, the Bengals were more in control than the Rams were.
Well, remember Odell Beckham goes out. That's when the whole game changes, in my opinion. But
that was a big loss. And I mean, when that happened, the momentum shifted, And then the second half came out, and we threw the bomb to T. Higgins, which he got a little face mask, but just a little. But you get that out, and all the momentum's on your side. And it's just like if they could have just done something, it would have been different. Anyway, that's in the past, and I'm trying to get past that because we're going back this year, and then we're going to win the damn thing, I think.
If not this year, the year after, I think there's something. It's just there's too much good stuff going on, and Burrow's such a winner, and I think this one will eat at him. I think in another scenario I could see playing out is it might not be this year, but I think sometime within the next 3 years, the Bengals are going to Super Bowl. It reminds me when Peyton Manning lost that first one in Denver with all those weapons. They just tinkered a little bit more, let that cook a little bit more, let it all simmer together, and boom, they got a Super Bowl, and they kicked the crap out of the Panthers in the process. So
Exactly.
that's kind of how I think this thing goes. I think they're in this title window now, and we didn't know they were. We didn't think they were close to this last year, this time. I mean, if you told me on March 8th, 2021, the Bengals would be playing in the Super Bowl and in February, I would have had.
Dude, I was one of the crazy ones and I wasn't crazy enough to do it. I drove down to do it. Drove down to Lawrenceburg to the sports book down there. I had my money with me. I was going to place $100 for the Bengals to go to the Super Bowl. Not necessarily win, just go to the Super Bowl. And they were closed. And I am so pissed off because I was right. I'm like, I didn't know. I'm just like, who knows? You know, I'll throw $100 on. I'll try to see that because I kept talking mostly because my brother-in-law, they were down in Florida last year or the year before that. Tampa Bay won, and I'm like, oh, you guys don't know what's coming. I said, Jackpot Joe Burrow's about to ball out. Oh yeah, well, what do you think we're going to Super Bowl next year? Yeah, it's like, all right, put your money where your mouth is. I'm like, all right. So I was about to do it. I wish I would have. I really wish I would have.
Dang, man, oh man, you got to be checking those hours before you drive out there, brother. But
I think
lesson learned.
Casino. Who knew? Do casinos close? I didn't know they closed.
I honestly would have assumed they were just open. I'd never really considered that. I don't gas stations. Like if I go to UDF, like by my house, I expect it to be open 24 hours. Why wouldn't a casino when I expect it to be 24 hours?
I mean, I can walk around. Other stuff are open. Other times the sports book open. Oh, at noon. I'm like, and I had just been up all night from work, and I'm like, I'll come back some other time. Never did. I'm like, daggone it. Anyway. Willie, you've been on for about 40 minutes. I appreciate you, dude. And like I said, I appreciate you being flexible because you were going to come on today, then I asked you to do it to Thursday, then I asked you to move back to today. And anyway, I appreciate you coming on, man. Tell everybody about your Same Old Stripes podcast and articles you got written and anything you got going on right now.
Yeah, so frankly, during this time of year, it's really hard for me to write as much as I'd like. I'm doing a lot of my draft work. So that stuff will start trickling out, but you can keep an eye out for that. It'll probably be mostly through Bet Jack, some Last Word on Sports, all that good stuff. But Same Old Stripes, man, we're just cooking along. And we just had yesterday Quentin Spain on the show. Super funny interview.
Guys, I need to learn how to email people like you do.
Quentin's a friend, so
that's good.
Yeah, he's good people.
Nice.
I really want Quentin to stay in town, by the way, but listen to that interview. Quentin's a good guy. You'll enjoy what he has to say, and he'll make you feel better about the rookie class because he had some interesting things to say about Jackson Carman in particular that'll make you take a step back and kind of consider maybe he should have been less hard on him as a fan base.
There you go. Well, I love Q. Like I said, I'd be fine if they keep him, as long as we get somebody else.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm a big Q fan. If you ever watch my Twitter or anything, I like him a lot. So, anyway, Willie, I appreciate you coming on, and you got to give me the info how to email some of these guys so I can get them on. Clark Harris and Q and all these guys you're getting on. I need to get that. Okay. Anyway, I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for coming on. And like I said, we will definitely have to do this again after free agency, and we find out what the Bengals have done. So. Let's make a date. I don't know when, but I'll call you back.
Talk to you in the future, buddy. Have a good one.
See you, bye. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Willie is a great dude. He's awesome. His awesome podcast, Same Old Stripes. Like I said, you can check him out on Bet Jack and the Last Word on the NFL for all his different articles. And like I said, I've started writing articles. You can check them out on the Ice Cave. And I might start a blog. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe my articles suck. I have no idea. What do you guys think of articles? Have you seen them? Are they any good? You like them? I've had people tell me different opinions. They don't. Either they like what I say or they don't like what I say. So maybe that means they're a interesting article and they're making people think. I don't know. Anyway, I'm rambling on here. Let's get to the Facebook groups that let me live stream. And as always, I appreciate every single one of them. They're Houday Nation, Houday Legion, Bearcat, Ruckus, Bearcat Country, the Ice Bar. Like I said, that's where you can find the articles that I'm writing. And I will be starting a blog in here probably sometime next week after that. So I'll get you guys to try to go there to check out some articles that I and some other people plan on writing. I think you can follow me on all my social media platforms, all under sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Twitter handle is at Jeff A. Treadable. TikTok is at Iceman90. Like I said, I'll be pulling the sound off later on tonight, putting it on the podcast. So if you missed it and you don't want to sit here and listen to me or watch me for how long? An hour and 14 minutes right now, you can listen to it. Check it out at work tomorrow, tonight, on your way to work tomorrow. It's on BeanPod, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcasts. Please make sure you rate, like, and review. Leave a comment so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. YouTubers, you guys are rocking it out. I'm at 1,524 subscribers. That is awesome. Trying to roll to 2,000. I'd like to hit 2,000 by the time the football season starts. So tell your friends, tell your neighbors about sports with Strawberry Ice. I would greatly appreciate it. Like I said, it wasn't for you guys who watch the show, listen to the show, read my tweets, read the articles. I would have no reason to do this. So I appreciate all your comments, taking the time to watch the show, listen to the podcast, all that stuff. Next week is going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, I'll be on vacation. But tomorrow, I have Jay Morrison from The Athletic on the show. So that'll be a really cool interview. Make sure you check it out. We'll get his insights on the Bengals, what they're going to do, what they're not going to do, draft-wise, combine. He was at the combine, see what he thought about it, and all that good stuff. And as always, that's just sports, baby. See ya!
Let's go. In the night, stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast is awake, orange, black, and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, day we ignite in Cincinnati, we gon' rise in the jungle, we unite in dripping orange and black and white. Day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Wake up the beast, every day is a feast. Time to bust it off the leash. In the jungle, dripping heat. Tigers strike the city streets. East side, stand up. West side, stand up. If you reppin' who they, time to put your hands up. Bengals stripes, we in it. New day, new age, yeah, we get it. Cincinnati jungle fitted. Who they in our house, we win it. Orange and black and white, we build it. Earn our stripes, you know we kill it. Bleed our colors, jungle dripping. Nasty, natty, yeah, we lit it. Lit the crowd, get the city loud. Yeah, we feasting now. Fit the pounce, make the city howl. Now we beastin' now. Thunder through the tunnel, from the sideline to the huddle. Stripes be tatted on the jungle when we flex that who they muscle on them. Stripes! Cincinnati, we gon' rise in the jungle, we unite in dripping orange and black and white. All day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Stripes! Now who gotta move like it on? Stripes! Now who wanna move dancing on? Stripes! Now who wanna move on? If you got stripes and you let the city know you rock 'em, yeah we got 'em, yeah we fought 'em. Like that black and orange, I'll follow 'em.